Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a little video. If you noticed, it's 11:59 on November the 3rd. Been elections running all day. And this little video is on how I, a Georgia voter, had to spend 3 days of my life driving over 660 miles to vote in Georgia. And I'm making this video on why it's important to vote. There's a couple of people that are trying their best to suppress votes. In my opinion, never vote for somebody who's trying to suppress not just yours, but other people's right to vote. That's not who you vote for. Because you want other people to have suppressed, but then one day it's going to turn around on you. So all elections should be equal. Anyway, like I said, today is actually, well, it just rolled over. It's now midnight, so it's November 4th, 2020. I don't know what's happened. Haven't watched coverage all day. I'll deal with the fallout of whatever happens in the morning. I hope and wish for a better America than what we've had. But now I'm back to my story. I'll start off by saying when Kemp was elected, Governor Kemp was elected Georgia governor, and how everything, because he was actually Secretary of State at the time, and how he closed down voting locations and did all this other stuff before the election, during the election, as the election was happening. And he was able to do it because he had been in that office, and he knew the legality of the things he could get away with. Even if they wasn't morally right or ethically right, legally, he couldn't be punished for doing what he was doing. So, and then you have that. Then you have, right after that, they begin talking about how he's going to purge voters from the roll. And, well, he starts the process of what he's going to do. He gets sued, and he's able to beat it. They side with him. Judges side with him because he makes the case that he's only going after people who haven't voted in the last two presidential elections, which is a indicator that they're not voting and stuff. Which, to me, that's still wrong. You shouldn't be going after it. It doesn't matter if I hadn't voted. If I'm a registered voter, I should stay a registered voter. And the reason he wanted it done is because it's harder. And in some places, you have to drive a whole lot farther to get registered to vote now because of the way that they do things. So, anyway, I'm like, well, I know something's coming, but it shouldn't affect me because I voted in every presidential election for 32 years. I've been a registered Georgia voter for 33 years. And I'll even add more to it. I'm actually a registered Republican in Georgia. But the Republican Party today is not the Republican Party I once knew and I signed up as. I might get into that a little bit more, but anyway, let's get back to how I had to drive so far and do so much just to be able to cast my vote. After he got elected and he said he was going to do his purge and stuff like that, and then as this year happens, you have COVID hit, you have Trump trying to mess with the Postal Service repeatedly, and then you have all that going on with the election coming up, and so I wanted to make sure I got to vote because I knew I was going to be in Florida on November the 3rd. So I decided ahead of time, and I should have probably even done it further ahead than that. But that's where this app comes in handy. Let's show you. That's what the little icon looks like. It says Georgia Leads, and it's Georgia SOS, which stands for Georgia Secretary of State. They have an app. Most people don't know it. I didn't know it. Click on that. You got all the different stuff. Am I registered? This and that's. I wish, like I said, I wish I'd have known about this app ahead of time. My voter information. Well, I know I'm registered because I actually voted early. But you got all this stuff, and here's where. So since I know I'm registered, I'm going to click on that. There's the information you have to enter in to get to your stuff. Type in your first initial, type in your last name. You put in the county, and you put in your date of birth. And I guess the only way this could possibly be messed with was if you had a sibling that y'all were both born on the same day. If you were identical twins or something, or fraternal twins, and you were born on the same day, you got the same first initial and same last name, and you still live in the same county, then maybe it would pull up something different. But anyway, for me, it brings up this. And that everything above that is like my more personal information. So anyway, this is what we're going to get to. You got all this stuff: change of voter, sample ballots, election officials, absentee ballot. Anyway, here's what we're going to click on, because this is how my 660-mile quest started. On November 3rd, I drove all the way up to Waycross. And this is when I knew something was going on. I get up there to fill out my absentee application. When I go to fill out my application, they tell me I can't fill out an application. I said, well, why the hell can't I fill out an application? Well, you're not a registered voter. I go, oh, hell yeah, I am. I've been a registered voter since 1987, so yeah. And then I thought about it. I said, oh, hell, what the hell did Kemp do? And then they proceed to tell me that the address on my ID is not the address they have on file. Address they have on file is a mail had been sent there, and it was returned. Well, there's a good reason it was returned. Or it wasn't responded to, whatever, but they never got it back. I hadn't lived at the address in 13 years. I actually, in 2007, when I moved, I filled out all my change of address stuff. I moved to the location that I live at now in the county. Moved from the city to the county. Filled out all my change of address stuff. I went by there, filled out all my stuff there. But short story, 2008, when I show up at the elections, they don't have my address changed. I have to change it again. 2012, same thing happened. 2016, same thing happened. I had to go there. I was able to vote, but I had to change my address again. So, cut to 2020. They're now telling me, because I can't. Because, see, the other times I was actually allowed to vote. I was never kicked off the roll. I was there. I was voting. It was their screw up. Well, because they have my address still on file wrong, they kicked me off the roll. So I have to re-register to vote. Now, here's the catch. When I re-registered, I could only do it with my current ID, which is where I live in the county. So they fill out all that type of stuff, and I'll say this too: the person that was actually waiting on me that day is the actual elected official of the Board of Registrars, or whatever it's called, office. His name's Carlos. But he was the one that was actually waiting on me. And they're going to get it fixed. They'll get it, because I actually was kind of perturbed that this was my 5th time having to change my address. 5th time, and every time it's been changed to the same address, and they've just never changed it. So I'm having it out with having my fair share of words, and they're swearing up and down, oh, it's going to be changed. You won't never have to worry about this again, blah, blah, blah. Fill that out, and then I fill out my absentee ballot. Okay, 9/3. I still got 2 months for the election. Plenty of time. Well, they proceed to tell me, okay, well, the ballots will be mailed out in about 10 days or so, and you get it and just fill it out as quick as you can, get it mailed back. I said, okay, not a problem. Well, anyway, cut to 9/18. That's supposedly when it was issued. I didn't know that because, like I said, at this time I didn't have this app. So, anyway, my mom had called me and was asking me some questions about her ballot. And I said, how do you know the questions or whatever? And she says, oh, well, I got my ballot like at the end of last week. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got mine over a week ago. And so I get at me that I'm going to have to drive. I've already drove 110 miles to Waycross on November the 3rd and drove 110 miles back. So I say, they're not doing this to me. It was like the 3rd by that time. So it had been a month since I had filled it out, and I still didn't have mine. So I decided I'm going to drive up the Waycross on the 5th. And now bear in mind, when you do this application request, you have to do that and sign it and all that. That's important. It's going to come in handy in a minute. So I go up there on the 5th. I ask them what the hell's going on, why hadn't I got my ballot, all this type of stuff. They then come to find out, this is when I actually found out something else that probably most of y'all do not know. Georgia, the state of Georgia does not send out absentee ballots. Your elector office in your county or whatever does not send them out. A third party sends them out. Third party that's hired to do this. So here that begs the question, who's the third party? Well, it's a Republican governor in a Republican state. So more than likely the person who's got that job is a Republican-owned business. Can't say I know for sure who it is, but if I was a betting man, as a registered Republican myself, I would bet you that that whoever owns that, CEO, whatever, Republicans. So they're in control of all the ballots. Anyway, I go up there on 10-5, and I tell them what the heck's going on. They tell me, oh, well, it should have been there. It was mailed out on the 18th. And do you want to go home and just wait for it to get? I said, no, hell no, I don't want to go home. I said, I've already drove this far. So this is the second trip up. 110 there, 110 back on the 3rd. Now I'm up there 100 on the 5th, and I'm going to drive back. So we're going to be at 440 miles by the end of the day, and the second day. Have to fill out have to fill out a paperwork to cancel the absentee ballot, then fill out another paperwork to get a new ballot shipped to me. And they actually asked me, well, hey, if you wait around until, if you're going to be in town, I think it was on the 8th or whatever, that's when Georgia early voting was going to be started. I said, well, I'm not going to be here. I drove all the way up here just to get this done and find out what's going on, because I didn't want to do it over the phone, and I wanted to get it in person, and which I needed to be there anyway, because I had to fill out the paperwork to cancel and fill out the new paperwork. So, but while I'm doing that, the lady actually is talking to me, and she actually brings up my old address in the city. I didn't think about it at the time, because when I was there, I thought she was saying that was the address my stuff had been changed from. And then it wasn't until I was driving off after filling out the paperwork and all that on the 5th that it hit me about her mentioning the address. I pulled it back up there, and I walked in. I'm like, hey, I was just here. Yeah, sure, I remember you. I said, can you tell me why you said this address? And she said, what address? I said, this address. You said this to me. And she goes, yeah. She goes, what's your name again? I gave her my name again. She pulled it up. She goes, oh, well, that's where you registered to vote from. I said, oh, no, hell, I'm not. She goes, what do you mean? And Carlos was standing right over there behind her. And I looked at him. I said, I was just here a month ago when I filled out all this type of stuff. I said, and I didn't fill out a change of address. I said, because I was told I didn't have to fill out a change of address because I was having to re-register. It would all be taken care of. It was being taken care of that day. And I looked and I pointed, I said, Carlos is the one that did it. I said, and he kind of gradually just kind of turned and then walked into the back offices. And she goes, well, honey, we will get it taken care of today and all this type of stuff. She goes, I don't know what's going on. So then I proceeded to tell her about how 2007, I'd changed my address, 2008, 2012, 2016, and how I had changed it on September the 3rd. And now I was going to have to change it again on October the 5th, even though it shouldn't be that, because when I re-registered on the 3rd, it could have only been registered one way. I couldn't have been re-registered to an old address with my new ID. So, anyway, she proceeds to change it, do all this, and I deal with it, and I get that done, and I leave. She tells me that the ballots will be mailed out shortly, and like I said, they'd already told me about how third party handles it. Anyway, cut to, that was, 10-5. Pull up this. Then you see this. There's where I filled out the application for the new one. But here's the thing. It says it was actually issued the same day. And I don't know if this one refers to this one or to a next one, because that one's going to be important. But it's saying it was issued that day. It wasn't issued that day. Or if it was supposedly issued that day in whoever the third party is. But now this is my second trip up, 9-3, 10-5. So get home, 440 miles, 2 days wasted. Cut to, I didn't even know this had happened. Because that says it was there and there. And she had told me it should be mailed out. It was going to be mailed out like that Monday or whatever. Cut to this 10 days later. 10 days later. It says they received an absentee application request. and that one was issued the same day, which I think that's for the other one where it says it was issued in office. This voted in person doesn't. This comes off the next thing, but anyway, it actually gets past this 10:15. I put in my thing on 10:05, and it was past 10:15 when and I still hadn't received my ballot. It was getting like the 21st or 22nd. You know, almost 3 weeks later, still no ballot. When it was supposed to be sent out the like 2 days later. And well, when it wasn't there, and I decided to start trying to find out what's going on, I had already called the office twice, and wasn't getting anywhere. I found this app, and that's when I actually had went in, like around the 21st, and I was able to find that, which was true, and then I found that, which means it should have been mailed out, but then for some reason, that was there. And then the cancellation on the 10-5 one is because of that one. And the voted in person regards the next one I'm going to show you. But like I said, I found this. This was all I could see at the time. And I'm, so it's getting close to election time. You got the problem with the post office and all this type of stuff. It's already like the 21st, which means elections are going to happen in 12, 13 days. And I know good and well that I don't have time for them to get me another ballot, me to mail it, and it get back and be there possibly on election day. So, cut to my third trip, 10/24. So, a month and 21 days, still no absentee ballots. Oh, and when I called, how I mentioned I called before this, I called and I asked them about my address and stuff, what address they have on file, what address was my thing supposedly sent to. And they actually had my address finally right in the system, and it was the county, the way the lady said it would be. But my mail vote by mail ballot was supposed to come here, did not come. So this starts my third trip, 110 miles to Waycross. Absentee application. That's because I had to go up there. I had to cancel the one that wasn't received, and then vote in person. And that's why you see that this all happened on that one day. Absentee, and it says it was accepted. And then that actually is what flags this voted in person. The reason this ballot was canceled was because I voted in person. But like I said, that happened on the 24th. I get through voting and I come back to Florida. So that's at the point where I had driven over 660 miles and spent 3 days to get my vote to count. And all because of Kemp. And then there's somebody else that I want to talk about, and that's the reason this election was so important to me. Where I stay at when I'm in Florida is a Republican county. It swung for Trump in 2016, and it's Republican before that, and it's Republicans everywhere. But anyway, you sit there and you watch TV, you watch the news, and you watch the stuff on the internet, stuff like that, and Trump talking about voting by mail, and how bad it is, and how corrupt it is, and how it should never be allowed to happen, and all this type of stuff. And he's saying that to the general population. And he's saying it for a reason. He's trying to dissuade people from voting in person and all this type of stuff, unless you live in a Republican county. So while he's on TV preaching about no voting in person, you start, if you're in a Republican county in Florida, you start getting things like, let's see what this one says. This is your finally notice. Okay, that one's about voting early. Now, all these have came within the last couple of weeks. Get this one. Make a plan. Vote early. It's patriotic duty. Trump is counting on me. No, hell, he wasn't. I damn sure didn't vote for him. Let me say this. Never, I don't know if I said it already, never vote for somebody who's trying to suppress your votes or trying to suppress anybody's votes. But here you go. Now let's get to the other things. After all of his preaching about voting by mail in a Republican county, you get these. Attention, Florida voter, this is your final notice. Read your vote by mail. Deadline's approaching. You got to get that vote in. You got to vote by mail. That indicates I haven't voted by mail. They know I haven't voted by mail. Or, well, actually, where at this house, it's saying that they know that these people, that where we're at, we haven't voted by mail. I mean, it's bull. They don't know anything. In fact, they don't know for sure because I don't live here. I'm a Georgia voter. There you go. You get that one. So that's one. Let's see. You got this one, another one. Return your vote by mail absentee ballot. President Trump wants you to act now. And then the nice little thing on this side too. And look, President Trump wants you to return your vote by mail absentee ballot. Early votes matter. Like I said, Republican county. And this stuff is sent by the Republican Party of Florida. There you go. Take immediate action. Return your vote by mail ballot today. President Trump needs you to act. Vote by mail, absentee ballot. President needs you to vote. Return your vote by mail absentee ballot. So there's 3 already. Now, on those, I want to point out, because I know that the Republican Party of Florida is sending these out with his picture and all this. None of these are actually like direct quotes from Trump to vote by mail. They're him saying it using his picture and stuff like that. Well, that cuts to this one. Voter alert. Public indicates you have not turned in your vote by mail ballot. Now, this is the 4th one. Your official vote ballot may vote by mail, absentee ballot not returned. So here's what I'll point out. Then you get to this. Florida Trump victory. Knows I haven't voted by mail. Return my mail. Return my mail. Now here's where it gets the thing. Here is a tweet. They made sure to print a tweet from Trump on August 4th. Whether you call it vote by mail, absentee voting in Florida. The election system is safe and secure, tried and true. Florida's voting system has been cleaned up. We defeated Democrats' attempts at change. No, it didn't. They didn't try to change anything. Except for give more people the right to vote. That's the only thing they tried to change. So in Florida, I encourage all to request a ballot and vote by mail. So you got Trump telling the public how bad it is, trying to dissuade people, all the while behind the scenes sending those flyers to what he thinks are Republican households. That's voter suppression. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of get behind the ordeal of voting in 2020, especially in Georgia. Because, like I said, I mean, it says right there, I voted in person, and I did vote in person. I got my stuff in. But it shouldn't have took 3 days. I mean, yeah, 3 actual days of driving back and 660 miles. And a month and 21 days. So that's 7 weeks. 7 weeks for me to get my vote. Anyway, this video is not just for y'all, it's for my kids or anybody else in the future. Your right to vote is one of the most fundamental things there is to do. Never let anybody take anybody's right to vote. Because, like I said, if you don't stop them from taking somebody else's right to vote, when somebody else is in charge and they come for yours, there's nobody going to be standing up for your right to vote. So, stay safe. Hopefully, this election turned out the way I wanted it to. Like it's 12:32 now, so. But I'm not gonna worry about it till in the morning. Y'all have a good night, and let's vote Kemp out at the next election. Thank you.